Hello again, collectors. So today we're going to review this Kyosho branded Maserati Khamsin model. It's one of these typical blister packs. I don't have the box itself, but it comes on a stand and this blister case here. This Maserati Khamsin, I guess is chassis code Tipo AM120. This is available between 1974 and 1982. And in tradition of Maserati naming, it was named after a wind. In this case, Khamsin is a hot, violent gust blowing in the Egyptian desert for 50 days a year. Okay, so I know that I don't want to live in Egypt. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then Marcello Gandini is credited for the design of this vehicle. And it's definitely got some interesting styling cues here. I'll talk about them right now, actually. This is an entire glass piece back here, kind of like a modern, well, the first Prius. And then the lights are floating inside that pane of glass. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And Kyosho, I think they may have done a good job with it. So, and then the whole style of this vehicle is a wedge design. Right? It looks very much like a wedge with a cam tail. And it has these black graphics back here. And, let's just get into the actual model here. Okay. So these this black printing, these triangles here, this one is hiding the gas cap. You can see a little round detail there. So the predecessor of this, which was called the Ghibli, it had two gas tanks, but it literally had two fuel fillers on each side. This one, there's a crossover. So there's a small tank actually here, and then the main tank is underneath this panel, I guess, here. So the other side, it doesn't have that roundness. It's just a cosmetic triangle. Unfortunately, it wasn't painted perfectly either. Okay, so this now also, Maserati as a company during this time was under Citroën, the French car company, Citroën's ownership. So I think it's interesting to know that. The reason being is, I guess a lot of hydraulic systems that Citroën was infamous for were, pushed into this vehicle. So this vehicle had a lot of high pressure hydraulics. Obviously, the brakes were hydraulics, but the power steering and then the seats themselves were actually hydraulic powered, so that's interesting. The pop-up headlights also hydraulic powered, and then the clutch would be hydraulic, which is pretty normal these days. So I found that the seats and the headlights being hydraulically powered seems a little odd. All modern vehicles they have electric motors, but Citroën they're pioneering that. Again, you gotta remember this is like the mid '70s, so it's quite a while ago. Okay, let's go here into this casting here. So we got some silver on this door handle, looks pretty good. These wheels here, there's no air passing between them, unfortunately. But they look like Spider-Man designed them. Interesting. They're actually made by an Italian company called Campagnolo. They do a lot of bicycle stuff, and these are supposed to be 15-inch wheels. So I guess they look alright. The tires do look good. The curved sidewalls are not flat, slab-sided, and then you have some really thin tread that looks pretty typical to a tire of this era. And they're not super wide like modern tires, so they look accurate in their proportions. Unfortunately, I think this is an older model, and it's quite interesting. It's press fit together in 3 spots, probably for this, these exhaust tips, which is actually pretty interesting. Most Kyosho blisters don't go through this amount of trouble. This is a separate chrome piece of plastic, for these 2 exhausts, so that's not normal of Kyosho, so it's nice to see here. And then they also have the separate chrome plastic bumpers, so that's pretty cool. Now there's some badge here in front of the door. I'm assuming it's the Bertone or Bertone. Yeah, the B, there you go. A little orange dot for a reflector there. Okay, nothing on the back though. So you got some silver here when the window trim's there. Looks good. And then here's that whole rear glass thing I was talking about. Let's see if we can. Yeah, it is clear. You can kind of see my finger, right? So Kyosho did a good job. I mean, it's a whole clear piece of plastic, and then I almost think the taillights are still another piece of plastic because you can see the flash there where it came off a molding sprue. So I think this is one piece of plastic, three pieces of clear plastic, and then these taillights are actually painted orange, clear, red. So that's really nicely done. I guess the license plate is supposed to go here. So if it wouldn't work well in America, you'd cover up a lot of that. But in Europe, I guess it's all right. All right, so that's really cool. An interesting back end for sure. This paint is really nice. It's like a metallic flake gold or brown, brownish gold. Anyways, there does seem to be some text here. Probably says Maserati. Yeah, Maserati, and some sort of scripted Khamsin, I imagine. I don't see the K. I see an H, or I don't know. Maybe, oh, that might be the trident from her. That's a KH. This first thing might be the trident of the Maserati logo. Okay, so that looks pretty nice. This side, yeah. The only difference would be the little circle for the fuel filler there. Okay, so it's interesting, the wiper blades here, they're painted silver and they're molded in, they're raised, but they're opposing. They don't work in parallel. They literally, this one must go first, then this one must go second, but this one must come back before the first one, I imagine, right? Weird. And then Marcello Gandini had this asymmetric styling going on with these two hood vents. So that's interesting. In 1977, there was a mild facelift, and that facelift included these three slots here in the nose. So Kyosho modeled apparently the facelifted version of this particular car. Let's see the badge here. Yeah, it's okay. You can't read Maserati, but you can see the red trident. Okay. So now we got this separate plastic bumper, and it's interesting because it's silver, and then they painted black on it, which is accurate to the real car. So it's a lot of extra work, and then they painted orange there for those. I imagine there must be the turn signals. Some molded in details here for the grille, and then even under here, it actually part of the casting and then part of the plastic. Interesting. Okay. Boy, it's gonna be hard to see an interior with such shallow windows. I'll give it a try. Well, I guess we can. Center console's pretty wide. We have three-pronged steering wheel. Some back seats have some ribbing texture there. And then some, well, looks like gauges on the center console. Yeah, it's alright, I guess. Okay. So, I guess as a whole, it's pretty nice. I'm just kind of looking over it with my own eyes here instead of through this camera screen. And there's no paint rash, there's no bubbling, there's no gouges. It's actually a flawless model, I would say. There's no QC problems, really. If you want to be super nitpicky, the black wasn't applied 100% perfectly there, but you'd never see it because, I mean, you're never going to display it upside down, right? And then this model goes above and beyond the norm with these chromed plastic exhaust systems. So this is actually a really nice model. Pretty impressive for a blister pack Kyosho, that is. Okay. So, unfortunately for Maserati's history, this car didn't do very well. They only sold 435 of these things because the ongoing fuel crisis was not helping, the cause of people buying large displacement engines. This thing, I think 4.9, almost 5 liters. That's a lot, right? So, no, these things weren't in high demand, so it didn't do well. Okay, so let's let this thing go for a spin up here. A couple other things I didn't mention. This is an all steel construction. Tubular subframe, double wishbones all around. The predecessor had a leaf solid axle and leaf springs in the back. In fact, this is the predecessor. This is another Kyosho. This is called the Ghibli. I think I may have mentioned that before. So the yellow car is the one right before this gold car. And this was designed, I believe, by a different design house. I think it was Ghia. So now this is Bertone. Okay. Now, so this newer one, it had 50-50 weight distribution because they pushed the front engine behind the front axles. And there was so much room in the front engine bay that you could fit the spare tire up in front of the, or underneath the radiator. So I almost think like this giant black vent here is probably helping the radiator. Right? But anyways, it'd be a spare tire there, so it freed up a lot of room in the back of the car, in the real world, that is. So okay, so I'm trying to see if there's anything left out. I think that's pretty much it for what I learned about this car. So yeah, if you like Maseratis, I would suggest you pick up both of them. They're pretty cool looking vehicles. They definitely look like the 70s. In fact, one other car I'm going to pull out is this Kyosho. It's called the Lamborghini Espada. And this is a four-seater Lamborghini. And it's designed by the same person. So Marcello Gandini designed this car before this car. The main thing that Marcello Gandini carried across, besides the very angular styling itself in this fastback kind of pattern, is these fuel filler covers. On this one I think it might have had two, whereas this is just a cosmetic one on this side. On this side there actually is a fuel filler because now the tanks are connected. So for me, I kind of feel like you can see the styling similarities. You know, the triangular small window here in the front, and the raked windshield's pretty steep. This like up sweeping here, the side window, same thing, just a little more angular on this one. So, okay. Alright, well anyways, yeah, if you guys like Italian cars, and Maserati, I guess, is kind of on the lower tier of Italian brands after, Lamborghini and Ferrari, of course. But this one is an interesting one. I really never knew about this whole glass panel back here, and I think it's kind of cool, It's funny that I think the Prius copied this car, because, well, maybe there are cars before that. I'm sure there must have been cars before with glass panels so low. But it's the first I knew about it on a Maserati. Okay, well then, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.